Yo, what up? Welcome to Spectator Sporting. This is episode number 62. I'm Zachary Roach along with my co-host, Mr. Ali Wally, the architect in the building. And we got a special guest. We talking about the Eastern Conference this year. We got Mr. Chevo Racks in the building. So we got a lot to talk about. Make sure you go on YouTube, check out the page, subscribe, hit that subscribe button. We leave a comment, we do respond. Go to spectatorsporting.com as well too. Check it out. Let's get into it. The Eastern Conference. Last year was a crazy year for the East. Nobody expected the Miami Heat to win the East, and they did it. And I know it was different circumstances. They was in the bubble. But a lot of new faces and a lot of new things going on in the East right now. So, Chevo, the special guest, I'm going to start with you today. Which team in the East do you find to be very intriguing?
Well, for me, I looked over the Eastern Conference and how they performed last year and the different teams that made the playoffs and didn't make the playoffs. And I think for me, it's not necessarily a team that's going to be making a jump and making it into the playoffs, but it's an existing playoff team. I think that the most interesting team for me in the East this year is going to be Boston. I think we're looking at Boston, you have a team that's taken some steps forward. They've also taken some steps back. And we've seen the departure of Kyrie Irving. We've seen the departure of Terry Rozier. We've seen the departure of
Gordon Hayward?
Yeah, Gordon Hayward, thank you. And so the team is kind of reshaping itself and kind of rebuilding. I'm going to be honest, I was impressed with what the Heat did last year, but I didn't pick them because I don't really think they can recreate that magic that they had last year for a second year. I think their biggest acquisitions this year was going into next year, the upcoming season, is the rookie Precious Achiuwa, which, you know, he's a young prospect, but I don't think he's going to take them over the top, as well as they got Avery Bradley from the Lakers, and then
Harkless?
And Mo Harkless. That's what I had down. Those were their biggest acquisitions, which I don't think puts them over the top. I think Bradley provides another defensive player that helps Jimmy out, but I don't necessarily know they have enough to overtake the West or the Lakers. And then I'm still not sold on the Bucks. Their biggest pickup was Jrue Holiday and Bobby Portis. So that brings me back to what I said about Boston. They added Jeff Teague, which provides some good backup point guard play. They added Tristan Thompson, which is a veteran power forward, which gives them some more defense as well as rebounding down low, because their bigs last year were guys that we really never heard of. I'll be honest with you, I don't even remember that.
They struggled. That was their weakness.
And that was their weakness, and that's why I say I think they're the most intriguing team, because I think this is going to be the year where they take that step to try to get out of the East and be in the finals.
Absolutely. Boston Celtics are very intriguing. I do agree with you. There's a lot going on with Boston. It's kind of a make or break year for them, I almost want to say, because they've had this team, they've had those draft picks, and they traded for the Nets, and now it's time to cash in on them. They've been in the playoffs, but they haven't been able to get over the hump.
And they might not be done yet, because there's been trade talks that possibly Kemba Walker might be leaving Boston, and so maybe that's why they brought in Jeff Teague. We don't know. We'll see how Boston reshapes by the time the season starts.
No, we're going to see. So, Adi, same question to you. What team are you looking at? What team do you find intriguing right now?
Well, you know what? It's the Philadelphia 76ers. All right, you know, the coaches, management, and players have a lot to prove in Philly. Doc Rivers, he's just coming off his third blown 3-1 lead in the playoffs. You got their new president of basketball operations, Daryl Morey. He left Houston. He walked away from Houston due to that CP3 for Russell Westbrook trade, that whole small ball strategy failure. He walked away from all of that. And so Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers was one of the most disappointing teams in the NBA last year, getting swept by Boston in the first round of the playoffs. But they didn't have Ben Simmons. He wasn't there. But now he's fully recovered from that kneecap injury. He was an all-NBA and all-defensive team guy. And Sam Cassell, assistant coach, Sam Cassell is in his ear about, you know what, shooting the jump shot. Will he do it? I had to see it to believe it. Okay? He had to see it to believe it. He only hit 2 threes in his entire career, all right? But the Philadelphia 76ers did trade Al Horford. They traded him to OKC for Danny Green. With the number 21 pick in the draft, they drafted the combo guard, Tyrese Maxey from Kentucky. He's a scorer, he's a shooter. He'll come off the bench. And they traded Josh Richardson in the second round pick to Dallas for Dell Curry's other sharpshooting son, Seth Curry. He was number 3 in the NBA in three-point percentage, shooting 45% from downtown. The Philadelphia 76ers are trying to make up for getting rid of too many shooters over the years. J.J. Redick, Robert Covington, Dario Saric. And so now all they really need is for Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid to finally be healthy. A lot of people are writing off Philadelphia. I think they're under more pressure than Boston to win this year.
That's a good argument. But I do like the moves they made in the offseason. I do like they put players around Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid that fits better. Kind of like the first year when they had Mario Saric.
Dario Saric.
And they had Covington. They had players that could shoot the three. J.J. Redick. Yeah. They got rid of all of them. So Ben Simmons not being able to shoot, they need to put shooters around him. So that's the first thing Daryl Morey came in and fixed right away. So I do like what Philly doing.
Don't forget about Dwight Howard's in Philly too.
Yes.
Dwight Howard, take the pressure off of Joel Embiid in the paint.
Nice defensive guy. So yeah, Philly and Boston both intriguing. Boston has beat them in the playoffs. I want to say the last 2-3 out of the last 3 years, something like that. So that's very intriguing. A team I'm looking for. I know they're not gonna win the championship. I don't think they're coming out the East. But I'm watching the Atlanta Hawks. I want to see what they got. Trae Young. He's been putting up monster numbers, 29-9. Now they put a solid team around him. They got Bogdanovich, and they added Rondo, the key addition. Rondo, who's going to help Trae Young as far as teaching them how to really play the point guard position, and Danilo Gallinari. So I feel like they got shooters. They got a nice team, and Trae Young, I think they're poised, and I really want to see what they do because I feel like they have a team that's strong enough to at least make the playoffs, 7th or 8th seed. So I'm really seeing what the Atlanta Hawks are going to do. Trae Young made the All-Star team, was a starter last year. I want to see how he bounced back. It's time for him to start winning. We go over this every day with the Luka and Trae Young. Now he's seen Luka make the playoffs, so now we need to see if I think Trae Young, I'm pretty sure he's thirsty and hungry to get in those playoffs because he don't want to be the guy that was traded for and never win. So
Luka's definitely having a lot of success with the Mavericks. He's looking like an MVP candidate. Trae Young, the guy, I think he was an All-NBA snub last year. I think he should have been on the All-NBA team over Ben Simmons. And also John Collins, he was suspended last year for growth. He took a growth hormone, was suspended, but he averaged 21 points, 10 rebounds when he was out there. And I like the number 6 overall pick, Okongwu, the big man from USC. He's a great defender, very athletic, and he's going to help out John Collins in the paint.
So I don't expect them to even win a playoff series, but I want to see if they can take that next step of getting to the playoffs. Because guess what? If Trae Young gets into the playoffs next year, there's going to be a lot of free agents next year. They're going to be looking at that team like, oh, I can go play with Trae Young and them. So this is important here for them to show improvement and try to get that 8th or 7th seed. That'll really help Atlanta out, no question about it. Sheva, let's go back to you. What player? You told me Boston was the team you watch. What player in the East are you really trying to see what they gonna do?
So the player in the East that I'm watching this year is Giannis Antetokounmpo. To me, it's imperative that his game takes a leap forward. I do understand he's been an MVP. He won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, but I also think he needs to add some additional dimensions to his game. As far as jump shooting, it is also upon the team to put more around him. I think that we all know he's talented, and I'm probably going to give a hot take, but I don't think he really deserved MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same year. Last year when he won, I think that honor is only so far gone to Hakeem Olajuwon and the GOAT Michael Jordan. So to hear that, I was very disappointed. I actually believe that LeBron deserved MVP last year with bringing the Lakers back. Although he got Anthony Davis, he stayed healthy last year and was able to get them to a championship that some people didn't think that he would win. We thought that the Clippers were probably a lock-in, at least I did. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out for Giannis, seeing what he does. The biggest acquisitions that they had this season with the Bucks to help put around him was that they added Jrue Holiday, and they also added one other. It was
DJ Augustine.
Nope, that wasn't what I was going to say. It was actually Bobby Portis.
The hitman.
So
They hit, man.
They do have Augustine. He's long in the tooth, but I think Portis provided some down low presence as well as Jrue Holiday, but I don't know if that's enough. So I'm looking to see him make a step because, as we all know, in reference to a comment he made about James Harden not passing the ball, James Harden did, and I quote, say, "I wish I could just run and be 7 feet and dunk." Basically saying that Giannis, wasn't as talented. So I like to see more out of him on the talent side and shooting the ball. So that's what I'll be watching.
Absolutely, I agree with you because he is back-to-back MVPs, and you could argue for him to get the MVP. I mean, you could go with LeBron or him, but Defensive Player of the Year should have been Anthony Davis last year. That was just my opinion. But yeah, you're right. Giannis, this is a big year for him because he went from the MVP to being absolutely dismantled in the second round of the playoffs by the Heat. They only won one game. They lost 4-1.
Yeah.
So that's if you're the MVP of a team
and defensive player.
Yeah, and it wasn't like you were playing like the world. I know Miami Heat, I give him credit, but it wasn't like when Derrick Rose lost 4-1, his MVP, he lost to Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh. So that was a whole different thing. But Adi, same question to you. Who you looking out for? Who you watching?
Well, I'm looking at Victor Oladipo. All right, Victor Oladipo.
Okay.
He ruptured his quadriceps tendon in January of 2019. Then he returned in January of 2020 under a minutes restriction. But he did have an excellent game in March against Boston. He had 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. But the very next day, the NBA suspended play due to the coronavirus. All right. But in the very first game, in the first quarter against the Miami Heat in the playoffs, Jay Crowder poked him in the eye, and Oladipo was in a lot of pain. He left the game, did not return. But in the next 3 games, Oladipo played very well. He averaged 22 points, 4 assists, and 2 steals a game, okay? And so the Pacers, they would have been much more competitive against the Heat in the playoffs if they had their all-star big man Sabonis. He was out with a foot injury, out for the playoffs. And a lot of people forget that the Pacers was the number 4 seed in the East last season. They got Malcolm Brogdon, they got Miles Turner, and T.J. Warren. Those guys are pretty decent. Nice little under-the-radar lineup going on there. And Victor Oladipo is supposed to be the man on the Pacers. He's a 2-time All-Star. He's only 28 years old, and he will be an unrestricted free agent after this season. He has all the incentives in the world to stay healthy and to really ball out and go into the Eastern Conference playoffs, maybe upset a team and advance to the second round so he can get that big payday this offseason.
Victor Oladipo, yeah, it is a big season for him. There's no question he's been hurt. So we got to see. It's a big year for the Pacers, period. They fired their coach, they fired Nate McMillan, so we'll see what happens. I'm looking at Kyrie Irving. I'm just going to be honest. Look, every team since you left LeBron James, every team has played better when you are not playing. That's just what happens. Boston played better without you, Kyrie. The Brooklyn Nets still was able to make the playoffs without Kyrie. Now you got Kevin Durant. Now, as Kyrie, I need Kyrie to understand that Kevin Durant is the number 1 guy, and there's no exception to the rule. There's no exception to the rule. If it's any class where he's trying to, he's already tripping. Don't want to speak to the media, write letters to the media. It's just so much going on with him all the time.
Said they didn't need a coach.
Yeah, said they didn't need a coach. He's come with all these you got to look at the reality of the situation. Yes, you got a championship. Yes, you hit one of the greatest shots in NBA Finals history. I mean, you went on a run in that Finals. Nothing but props for that. But since then, it hasn't been since you left LeBron. LeBron, you haven't done anything significant since you left LeBron. You wanted to be the man, and I haven't shown it. The teammates don't like you. They don't follow you. So this year, you really need to step your game up. You need to show that you could be a good second teammate and show that you are willing to be the second star because you're not better than Kevin Durant. So the player I really want to watch for, because that's the only thing that can really stop the Brooklyn Nets from winning, is Kyrie Irving being Kyrie Irving. He needs to really show up this year. And he's been hurt. He's one of the most hurt players in the NBA right now. He stays hurt. He needs to stay healthy, and he needs to show that he's about winning and not himself. So that's just. I'm watching Kyrie Irving. I like Kyrie Irving. He got game. He can score with the best of them. He's clutch. But it's time to start winning games now. It's time to show before we keep including him in his top point guard conversations. And we can't keep including him in these top point conversations when your team play better when you're not playing.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving is a beast. But I like Spencer Dinwiddie, his backup. He was averaging about 20 points a game last year, and so if Kyrie Irving does, mentally, if he's not there, Dinwiddie can step in, and hopefully Kevin Durant is healthy. That's the key.
That's the key. So but I'm really watching Kyrie Irving, no question. So all right, I'll start with you on this one, Adi. What team in the East is on the verge of just collapsing, falling off like it's about to get ugly if they don't get it together?
Well, I don't know about ugly, but I say a fall off. The Toronto Raptors. I'm going with the Toronto Raptors. Yeah. They was the number 2 seed last year, and I get them falling off several seeds going into this season. All right, they signed Van Vliet to a 4-year, $85 million contract, but apparently they didn't have enough bread left over to re-sign Serge Ibaka. He's a Los Angeles Clipper, or Marc Gasol. He's with the Los Angeles Lakers. And so the Raptors lost 2 of the top 3 rebounders from last season, and they replaced them with Aaron Baines. Okay, Aaron Baines. This is a guy who he's never averaged more than 5.6 rebounds and 0.7 blocks in his entire career. Wow. So don't be surprised to see OG Anunoby, he's 6'7", playing power forward, and the 6'9", Pascal Siakam playing center, but that small ball shit hasn't really been working out lately in the NBA. And the Eastern Conference got plenty of big men to deal with. You got Dwight Howard and Joel Embiid in Philadelphia. You got Brook Lopez and Antetokounmpo with the Milwaukee Bucks. Jared Allen and DeAndre Jordan with the Nets, and Bam Bam Adebayo with the Heat. The Raptors, you can just see it. You can see the script. It's written all over the place. They're going to try to do the small ball thing. I think it's going to have them falling off next season.
That's very interesting because, they did lose some key pieces. But Nick Nurse is a good coach, so we'll see what he come up with. Same question for you, Shabo. Who going to fall off?
Well, if we was in school, me and Adi would probably get in trouble because that would be the equivalent of erasing my name off and writing his and turning it in my paper, because I also have the Toronto Raptors. For similar reasons that Adi said, to me the biggest loss was not only losing Marc Gasol, but also losing Serge Ibaka, like he said, who went to the Lakers. Both of those guys are in LA. I think that last year the Toronto Raptors were riding high off winning the championship with Kawhi Leonard, and I think there was some residual effect there. I think they have a good coach, but I think it's just too much attrition on that team. As you mentioned, they paid the point guard, Van Vliet, a good contract, a lot of money, but I don't really see the offseason pickup and acquisitions. And I think the East did get tougher this year. And so, as Adi mentioned, I got the Toronto Raptors falling off. I honestly, I don't even see them being in the playoffs. He said they think they're going to fall some seeds. I don't even have them in the playoffs right now.
Wow.
Yeah. Ooh. So I was going to say Toronto because what showed me in the playoffs last year, no, it was the bubble, but the one thing that Siakam is not a number 1 guy. They thought he was going to be able to be the number 1 guy. He's not. He's a second or third option because he just don't have the offense. He don't have the skill level to be a number 1 guy. He's a very, very good player, all-star player, but he's not a number 1. And losing that size is huge. That was one of the Raptors' advantages. You guys were right, was having that size. That was a big advantage. Like I felt like if Kawhi would have stayed with Toronto last year, and they played the Lakers in the finals against the Raptors, that would have been a way better matchup for the Lakers. So you're right. But I would say the team that you just talked about, the Indiana Pacers, I'm skeptical about them because number 1, the East has got better. It's teams that they're gonna have to fight with right now that they wouldn't have to fight with last year when they finished number 4. They don't have no big major off-season acquisitions either. They didn't get better. Brooklyn got better. Philly got better. Miami's probably got a little better. Every team, and let's not forget, somebody's going to get knocked out of the playoffs because Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal are going to make the playoffs in the East. They are going to make the playoffs. Now, are they going to be a high seed? No, probably not, but they're going to get in the playoffs. So somebody's going to get knocked out. And I feel like from a talent point of view, I think the 6 or 7 teams are more talented than the Indiana Pacers, just from a pure talent on paper.
I replaced Toronto with Washington in the playoff season.
See?
So that I'm with you with that.
Yeah, so
I disagree. I feel like the Indiana Pacers is probably the most underrated team in the NBA.
They play hard, but they don't have And then I don't know if Victor Oladipo's back. He didn't look back from his AC, from that injury. He didn't look back when he was playing in that. I know he got poked in the eye, but he didn't look back. I didn't see the same explosiveness from him.
Yeah, he never really got a chance because when he started to play well, then the NBA suspended play, and then they played in the playoffs without Sabonis. He put up 20.
Sabonis is a nice player, but now it's much more big. Like Sheva was talking about, it's much more big man now that he's going to have to deal with.
I can see both of y'all points, but my thing that I looked at it was that I think Toronto is used to playing at a high and being on top. And I think if they come into some adversity this year, we might see them actually kind of disintegrate. And I think that Indiana being a team that's, to me, a little bit more grittier and plays a little bit tougher, harder, I think they will pull it out if I had to pick between the two. But I do see both of your points where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, we'll see, but yeah, I'm not sold on the Pacers. They could be on the outside looking in. That's what I think. Let's get back to it. So, Ali, before I ask you who's going to make the playoffs, explain this new playoff thing to us right now.
Well, you know what? All right, so we got the new play-in tournament, okay? They did it in the bubble, so it's the play-in tournament. They're bringing it back, okay? And so, the top 6 seeds in the playoffs don't have to worry about the play-in tournament because they're automatically in the playoffs. The play-in tournament involves the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th seeds. The 7th seed will play the 8th seed. The winner of that game becomes the 7th seed. The loser of that game plays the winner between the 9th and the 10th seed, and the winner of that game becomes the 8th seed. That's your play-in tournament. And so, for the, now here's my picks for the playoffs. The number 1 seed, I'm going with the Milwaukee Bucks. With the number 2 seed, I'm going with the Brooklyn Nets.
Ooh.
Number 3, Miami Heat.
Ooh.
Number 4, I'm going with the Boston Celtics.
Wow.
Number 5, Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay.
Number 6 might be a little surprise for you guys, the Indiana Pacers. Okay.
Ooh.
So in my book, those guys don't have to worry about the play-in tournament, all right? And so for the 7th seed, I'm going with the Toronto Raptors to make the number 7 seed. It was 2 seed last year, dropping to 7. And with the number 8 seed, I was going back and forth. Will it be the Wizards? Will it be the Hawks? Will it be Washington? Will it be Atlanta? And I'm rolling with the Atlanta Hawks to make the playoffs over the Wizards. The Wizards are going to miss the playoffs. They're going to be very disappointed.
Wow. It's going to be catastrophic if they don't make the playoffs. You talk about the hate Westbrook getting now. If he go to the East and don't make the playoffs, oh man, it's just going to be ugly. Sheva, what do you think about his picks?
I think he made some solid picks. I think we were aligned on, I didn't have them in that order, but we were aligned on our top 6 picks. So for me, I have the Bucks, Boston, Heat, Sixers, Brooklyn, Pacers as well. I gotta disagree with you. I'm taking Washington. I think in the East, Westbrook and Bill, they can put up 70 points alone by themselves. They can will themselves to a win. I'm taking Washington. That was my other pick. And then I feel like for the 8th and 9th seed, I mentioned earlier I did not have Toronto in it at all. For the 8th and 9th seed, Orlando made the playoffs last year. I believe they were like the 8th seed. Yeah. And I have battling it out for the 8th seed, Charlotte or Orlando. I couldn't pick which one. And I know that's probably a hot take, but I think with LaMelo and some moves that they're making in Charlotte, I can see them being an 8th seed in the East. I think the East is top heavy. I think the bottom half is kind of up for grabs in the East. So those were the last couple teams that I had battling it out. So we only differed on a couple of picks.
You had the Wizards as the 7th seed.
I don't have them in order. I didn't put them in order. I have the Wizards in the playoffs though. I think they'll be in they won't have to play in, I don't think.
And who you got as an 8th seed?
I think the last 8, the 7 and 8 seed was to me. The 8 seed was either Orlando or Charlotte. That was my 8 seed. Orlando.
Charlotte did make some solid moves this year. Are we gonna see if Gordon Hayward is back healthy? If he's back healthy and he can play, they might be able to make a little noise.
LaMelo Ball is the truth as well. If he is what they say he is. So.
Okay, so that's good. I actually got Boston number 1 in the East this year.
Wow.
I got the Bucks number 2, Brooklyn number 3. I got Miami number 4. Philly number 5, we agree there. I got the Wizards at number 6. I got the Wizards at number 6. I got Toronto at number 7. And I got the Atlanta Hawks at the number 8 seed.
I got a lot of faith in Atlanta.
I like the moves they did. They made some good moves. They put a nice little team around Trae Young. Like they got some shooters. They got John Collins coming back. They got some defenders. I like what Atlanta's doing. I think they can get the AC, but Charlotte is going to be solid. That's going to be a tough team. Orlando, they made the playoffs the last 2 seasons, I want to say.
Yeah. Orlando
made it.
That's why I kept them in there.
Yeah, Nikola Vucevic, he's the most underrated big man in the NBA, and they got Cole Anthony too.
Yeah,
in the draft.
My only Greg Anthony's son. My only concern with the Hawks was that I felt like it was a lot of repetition in the roster. They picked up Rondo and Chris Dunn, and they have 3-point guards now. And Rondo and Dunn aren't the greatest shooters, although Trae Young can shoot enough for the whole team. I just wasn't sold on them to think that they put enough players around.
Well, them getting Bogdanovich and Danilo Gallinari, those are 2 sharpshooters right there. So
that is true.
They got a nice squad. I mean, you got the rookie, the Okongwu from USC, who was the number 6 overall pick. They got John Collins and everything. And y'all both is high on the Wizards, but I just feel like they didn't do enough to address the fact that it was the 2nd worst team in defensive rating last year. They was the 3rd worst team in rebounds last season. You know what I'm saying? And so I just don't think they got enough in the paint down low. And Russell Westbrook and Bill, we don't know how that's going to work out. Russell's going to be dominating the ball. They probably going to have to play in the play-in tournament going against Atlanta. And so they got the 1st round pick, Denny Avdia, but he's not going to be ready to play and start this upcoming season. So I'm just, I think, Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, they're making $163 million through the 2022-23 season.
That's a lot of cash.
That's a lot of cash to not be making playoffs. It was tough. I was battling between them and Atlanta. Atlanta got, like you said, Bogdanovich. The Milwaukee Bucks tried to trade for him, but Bogdanovich didn't agree to it because it was a sign of trade deal. So he averaged 15 points, 37% from the 3-point line last season. Danilo Gallinari, very underrated player in the NBA. He averaged 19 points. 42% from 3 the last 2 seasons. So I'm just going with Atlanta over the Wizards. I think the Wizards going to be very disappointing.
I can't listen. What you say has got some validity to it, but if Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal playing on the same team in the Eastern Conference, don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing the East, because last year I was so down on the East, I was so tired of the East. This year they made some moves. There's some good players in the East now, so I think we're going to have a competitive Eastern Conference finally. But if Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal do not make the playoffs, that I can't see that not happening. They probably get 1st round out, but they better make the playoffs. Those are 2 high quality all-star type guards. They should make the playoffs.
So the play-in tournament is not enough?
No. You got 2 guys who average 30 points a game on your team.
If they're in the play-in tournament, they should win the play-in tournament and be on, and then maybe get eliminated, but not eliminated from the play-in tournament. That's going to be pretty terrible.
That's not good. Yeah. That's going to say a lot about Russell Westbrook. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I hate to say it that way. So Shabba, let me go to you now. Let's go to you. So who? Now we went through the seeds. Who's going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, and who is coming out the East?
Well, my pick for the Eastern Conference Finals, I gotta go. I would love to see the Heat go back again, but I gotta go with Boston and the Bucks. I think I was real high on Boston. That's the team I'm watching this year. I think they make some more steps. You see Jaylen Brown as well as Jason Tatum coming into their own. And I think the Bucks. I think that Giannis is going to be healthy this year. We're going to see what addition Jrue Holiday makes to the team. See if Bobby Portis can provide them with some more rebounding. And I think they may be in the Eastern Conference Finals again. There's no other team I'm sold on as much as those 2 teams.
Same question you had. Who gonna be in the Eastern Conference Finals and who's coming out the East?
Well, I got a rematch. Between Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks. This time the stakes are higher. Okay. In the playoffs last season, the Heat was number 2 in assist to turnover ratio, and they was tied for 1st in percentage of possessions that end in assists. They played very efficient, unselfish ball. They move the ball around until somebody gets a good look. Because it doesn't matter who gets the ball. Everyone can shoot or create a shot for themselves or their teammates. Now, I was disappointed that Bam Adebayo, he injured his shoulder and he missed a couple of games in the NBA Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers, because in the Eastern Conference Finals against Boston, he was killing. He averaged 22 points, 11 rebounds a game. Dominated those guys with the end and dropped 15-6 against the Lakers. He was playing through that injury, but now he's healthy. He got that big contract extension. I think he's going to take his game to another level. He's going to be one of the best big men in the Eastern Conference. They have Tyler Hero. He was breaking all kind of rookie records in the playoffs last year. Duncan Robinson, he's a top 5 3-point shooter in the NBA. And they got Goran Dragic. They re-signed him. And the superstar, Jimmy Butler, he outplayed Jason Tatum. And the MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, in the playoffs. But the Milwaukee Bucks, they made a big trade. They traded George Hill, Eric Bledsoe, and 3 first-round picks.
Woo, that was a lot.
For Jrue Holiday.
That was a lot.
They gave up a lot. Now, the thing is, though, with my man Eric Bledsoe, in the last 2 postseasons, he shot under 25% from downtown. That's why they got rid of the guy. They had to let him go. And also, very under the radar, the Milwaukee Bucks, they did sign DJ Augustine, who in the last 2 seasons in the playoffs, he shot 47% from downtown. With Orlando Magic, you talk about an upgrade at the point guard position. Jrue Holiday, he's a 2-way player. He plays defense very well. He can play shooting guard or point guard. He averaged 19.6 assists, 47% from the field in the last 3 seasons with the Pelicans. He's going to take not only is he going to take a lot of pressure from Giannis Antetokounmpo, now a lot of people are not going to be looking at Chris Middleton to be that guy when the Greek Freak is double and triple team. He's taking the pressure off him. The Milwaukee Bucks got a big 3 going on in Milwaukee, and I say they get their revenge. They get their revenge against the Miami Heat. They're going to be focused on the game. They're going to finally make it to the playoffs for the first time since 1974.
So you got Milwaukee coming out the East. And did you tell us who you had coming out the East?
I didn't. I gotta go Boston coming out the East. I'm not sold on Milwaukee yet, because I already said they made some terrific upgrades. I just think Boston's got more talent.
Ooh, okay. Boston, Milwaukee. My Eastern Conference Finals, I have Boston, but I got them going against the Brooklyn Nets. If Kevin Durant is 100% ready, they're going to play the Brooklyn Nets. And I know I picked them as number 3 seed. I only picked them as a number 3 seed because I know it's going to be some time of getting used to playing with each other and stuff, so they might have a couple struggles early. But once the playoffs getting high again and Durant is in full attack mode, if he's ready at 100%, there's nobody in the East that's ready to deal with Durant. And then if Kyrie Irving becomes the second option that he was with LeBron, forget about it. I got the Brooklyn Nets coming out the East.
I love Kevin Durant. He's one of the best players in the world. One of my favorite players. I'm not sold on Kyrie. Kyrie, I think, has ravaged more teams than COVID. So you have to be worried about when that guy comes to your team or what's going to happen with the team chemistry. So we shall see what happens.
No, you're right, but like Ali brought up a good point. They still, Kyrie tripping. They got Spencer Dinwiddie. They still got Chris LeVert. They got Joe Harris. They got his team. Yeah. They got DeAndre Jordan. They got a team, and you got Kevin Durant. Like, let's be clear. Whatever series it's gonna be, he's gonna be the best player on the court by far, and it's not gonna even be close. There's no LeBron or Kawhi in the East. Now, don't get me wrong. I know Giannis is the back-to-back MVP, but Giannis can't shoot free throws and hit jumpers in the 4th quarter. So.
Yeah, but the thing is that, you know what, the only thing, I'm going to tell you why. Now, me and Shovel don't have Brooklyn in the Eastern Conference Finals, which is huge. But the thing is, I just feel like, Kevin Durant, I love the team. The Nets, they got a nice, they're deep. You know what I'm saying? Like you mentioned those players and things. But the thing about KD, he got to be KD, at least 90% KD. Now, Hobie been talking to Dominique Wilkins. Really, the only guy that really totally recovered from that torn Achilles tendon injury. And so, hopefully he can be a guy like that can recover from it, because that's why I don't have the Nets going to the Eastern Conference Finals, because of the injuries. Like we mentioned, Kyrie Irving always hurt. Kevin Durant, the injuries. So the injury factor, I had to go with the Heat and the Bucks in the Eastern Conference.
That's legit. That's legit. But I'm just speaking, if everybody stays healthy, of course, if every team has injuries, things is going to change. I mean, that's just what it is. If they're healthy and Durant is at least 90% of his old self, I got the Brooklyn Nets coming out the East. I think Kyrie Irving, if Durant is Durant, Kyrie Irving is going to gladly take that second row. He will have no choice because that guy is better than you. And then I just think they back him up with Dinwiddie and Chris LeVert. I just like their team. Their team, they can score in so many different ways. And defensively, I think they're going to be good as well, too.
Jared Allen and DeAndre Jordan in the paint, man, that's going to be a problem.
I like Brooklyn. But Boston is going to be good. I feel like Tatum, this is the year where he broke out last year, but this is where he's going to take it to superstar mode. I think him, and I love the move by the Bucks getting Jrue Holiday. That was big time. Like you say, he do have a big three. Middleton probably goes to that number 3 guy now, which is more suited for him, I think, because that being that guy that, you know, him and Paul George last year in the playoffs, boy, they did not step up when they needed when the superstar really needed him. So Jrue Holiday can play. So it's gonna be tough. And I'm not counting out Miami Heat because they are the reigning Eastern Conference champions, but we'll see now that teams, they're gonna be prepared for Miami. I think it's gonna be a little different. But anything else y'all want to add before we?
No, you covered it.
We covered everything.
We covered it all. All right. This has been Spectator Sporting. Thanks for watching. I'm Zach Roach, co-host Ali Wally. Want to thank Mr. Chevo Rex for coming here doing a special guest appearance, talking about the Eastern Conference. In the meantime, in between time, we out. Peace.